Michael, could you just tell us what the TMO and council did?
Well, we haven't had no kind of contact from the TMO or council relating to any kind of support, any kind of structure, any kind of information regarding where do we bring all of the things that have been donated to the Harrow clubs, where we can actually store things. We've had to rely on local businesses and companies to actually give us vans to move a lot of this, a lot of the donations. Also storage facilities. We've had people offer to rent storage for us. I've actually rented 2 storage out of on my own name. Some of my staff, 4 of my staff have actually rented other units just so that we can store a lot of this stuff. And this is the kind of thing the council needs to do. There's no central place in which we could send everything and we know that it's going to go to the relief of the victims. And for us it's quite concerning because we've stockpiled all of these items for them, and I've only had like 3 families come in to collect items, and I'm sure there's many more, and I'm hearing stories that they're going to be kicked out of accommodation on Tuesday, and whilst they're in the Ibis Hotel, I think in Cromwell Road, they're only receiving breakfast and dinner, and they haven't got no money to buy lunch and stuff like that. When they go to register as well to say that they've lost everything and they're in Grenfell Towers, they are being told that they need identification, which is ridiculous because a lot of them have run out without any identification, just trying to manage to get their lives out with their families and loved ones. So for me, you know, there needs to be a central point of communication in which we have a rep from the council at least, or representation of some sort from the council or TMO to say, okay, we will help your efforts, and then at least give us some structure further along the line so we know where to put all of these items, because obviously we cannot keep them forever. We want to make sure that it does get to the people who actually need it, but at this very point, you know, the council, RBKC, TMO, who's responsible or who should be coordinating this, haven't done any of this. So it's put a great strain on my organisation to come up with all the answers, and unfortunately we haven't got all the answers. We've had a brilliant response from our local community, and they've been phenomenal in terms of giving money, donations. Even poor people who haven't got, you know, they're giving the shirts off their backs, literally, and even little kids donating their toys. And it's just been emotional. I have people from Japan come in and want to help. People from Scotland, Wales, people from Kent, Manchester, Newcastle, you know, Woolwich, all over the place, to be honest. And it's just heartwarming that they've got this empathy and compassion to bring all of this stuff. But I must say, we've got enough to probably clothe and feed the whole of London. So my concern is the actual victims, what they actually getting, and how we actually going to get all of these stuff, because it's not only our centre. I know Acklam, the Christian Centre, RPT, we're all stockpiling these in different warehouses and stuff like that, and it's more than enough to aid the victims. But unfortunately, there's no one really coordinating this.
So you've kind of autonomously done all of this?
Absolutely, off our own back. From the time I got a call at 2:30 in the morning that Grenfell Towers was on fire, but from one of my workers said we need to open the club. So we opened the club. I shot down here, got here at 3 o'clock, and that's when the first victims from the fire actually was in our building, and they needed refuge there. So they were staying in our building, and then what became apparent was RPT, which is Rugby Portobello Trust, were also set up as a centre, but they're close by, and we work in liaison with them to make sure that both centres are liaison with the victims' names, people that were missing. But it's quite a stressful time, obviously, right at the beginning, because people were going from centre to centre to find out, I heard that you might have this person, and then finding out that we didn't, and then obviously a lot of people have been carted off to hospital as well. So very confusing time, and we didn't have no one from the borough coordinating any of this. We've done this literally off our own backs, and we've been doing this since Wednesday, and it's now Saturday, and we're still doing it.
Have you got any authoritative list?
Yes, we have. So I've been speaking with people who have been directly involved with the victims and going actually to the hotels to give them the relief. So we've got care packages that we've all made up. We've got lists today of 30 flats that I think Westminster have donated for these victims that we're actually kitting out. So with bedding, we're giving the victims clothes and stuff like that. But these are going directly to the victims, which is, you know, a welcome relief for us, because we've sent stuff to Park Royal and it's just going to be in a massive warehouse with everything else. Who's going to sort through all of this stuff and make sure these people actually get it? And one guy said, look, the Salvation Army have said to us, we can sell them in tons or whatever. We get £200 and then we give you that £200 back to put into the kitty for the reef, which is fine. But who's going to coordinate all of that? Is it going to be, you know, we've had people come in and say, I was on the 12th floor, now they've come back again looking for more stuff. I was on the 14th floor. So you've got that element attached to it as well, where people are just using the situation to probably for their own personal gain, which is another thing that we've been looking at for as well. And then I know a lot of the people who've been giving and donating stuff have their concerns about is this actually going to reach the people in need and the actual victims? And as far as we're concerned, we're stockpiling around the corner and keeping the stuff close to us, so when these victims come in, they can actually receive the items that they actually need.
So just to clarify, the TMO and the council have not been involved in either collating and running through a name check?
Absolutely. No, we have no lists, no name checks.
And they've not been involved in the allocation of provisions?
Not whatsoever. I think the only thing that we've been told is that we can take it to Grenfell Depot, I think, was one of the places they said for all our donations, that's the new central point, and we found that out yesterday, that they wanted us to, the stuff that has been donated, they wanted us to actually transport it ourselves to Greenford. Rather than sort of like say, okay, we've come down here, we're willing to help and support, sent a big truck down, we could load it up, we've got all the volunteers, and then we know that it's actually going to go somewhere safe, but unfortunately that's not the case.
And just one more thing, because you've had to act so autonomously, you have taken certain initiatives like putting up bedding, that's then been shut down by the council and TMO.
Yeah, we had 130 beds ready for victims, and we were told that they weren't sending them to us because we hadn't been vetted. And I'm thinking, well, that's absolutely crazy, because we're actually funded to run a youth provision for RBKC. So where the need was, it wasn't taken up. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, that was a waste of effort and time from our volunteers to set up all those provisions, and we didn't actually have that aftermath. Sorry, just need to just turn it off. At the same time, saying that, it's quite distressing for us, because a lot of our volunteers have been affected by what's actually happened in the area, and the other side of that, putting up those beds ready for victims or the people who have been evacuated. So we were prepared if that building was actually going to come down, that those other tenants could actually have somewhere to stay, wash and be safe in.
One more question. I said it was the last one. You are a youth provision within the stone's throw of Grenfell Tower, right?
Yes,
right.
A
significant amount of those young people who are dead.
Yeah. Some of our members are involved in it. Some of our community members have lost their lives in this, and it is actually tragic time for a lot of people. But we haven't got time to contemplate that yet. We haven't processed that. We're literally in the process of logistics and making sure we can do as much as we can whilst we can.
But just on that point, in terms of the importance of a youth provision for young people who are so deeply traumatized by what has just happened, the logistical management has stopped you from playing the healing part of a community that you needed to.
Absolutely. Like yesterday, our plan was to open our junior club and our senior club, so young people wouldn't be on the streets, wouldn't be involved in some of the negative attitudes of the people who are actually angry about it, which is understandable. But at the same time, we want to really nurture some of those young people so they're actually back into their own environment, familiar environment. And if any of them are traumatised and need counselling, we've had Office of Counselling Services for our members who have been affected by this. So we haven't had time to actually put that provision in place. We're literally logistically locked down with all the donations and where to put it. What should we do? Should we make up care packages? And literally we were just thinking on our feet and thinking, well, hopefully this will make a difference to the victims, but we cannot be sure. But really and truly, there should be a central point, a central person from the council coming down and basically saying, look, we need you to do this. But like I think, because I don't think they're organised, I don't think that they probably have these provisions in place, or they're sticking them in places like the Westway or wherever, and just containing it in their own kind of little environment. But they need to recognise that there are organisations like the Harrow Club that are actually providing a positive service and relief for the victims.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What have the council and TMO done since this disaster struck?
I've been working here and various sites for 3 days of now, so I've taken a leadership role here, and I haven't seen a representative of the council once. So I haven't seen a single representative of the council. We're completely lacking in centralised organisation. So yeah, that's so far the experiences.
I mean, obviously you're a centre of the community, and
yes,
a lot of the congregation will have been in Grenfell Tower. Mm-hmm. Have you been able to do any of the necessary healing work with the communities affected?
No. Our role, as you can see around us, has been entirely logistical. We've been inundated with amazing donations from people all over the place, from Bristol to just next door. And so the community has come together to do logistics, organise things, sort things. We've organised our own depot with a company, and they're storing things until we can establish our own distribution links, because there has been no centralised governance of where people are or how we can help them.
Given the failure of the council to do that, do you think it's better to do it autonomously? Would you trust the council to do the distribution of these provisions?
It's increasingly obvious that amongst the community people are losing faith in trusting the council to take control of this and trusting them if something appears. So I don't want to sort of say a position that we don't trust, but there is caution. We're hoping that something more centralised appears. I'm on my way to a meeting now to try and establish that, but we're hopeful. That's what we are.
Sorry, there is another question.
No, that's fine.
Just in regards to the lists that are being collated on the individuals who have been lost and an account, have you had any support, given that you are a place where people have been coming to get aid? Yeah. Has anybody taken names? Have you had any central coordination of that? With
regards to coordination of where people are, we today have established our own distribution team who have gone out into the areas that we've gained intelligence on as to where people may be, and we're taking lists of what they may need, and we're hopefully going to go and coordinate with other centres, but there has been no assistance whatsoever. It's been our own intuition to do, essentially, and it's the kindness of people that have gone out, travelled London to find people, but no, absolutely no help whatsoever.
And do you have any idea of the numbers missing? Are you?
No idea. The numbers flying around, but there's no clarity. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
This way. Oh, we can go that way. Sorry.
So for the first time, we've got a breakthrough where there's a meeting at 4:30, where all the leaders from the different relief centres have come together.
The council have left you pretty much alone, so the TMO, right? Since you've taken our back and village, can you just tell us about it?
Yeah, that's more or less the case. There's been no information from the council. I'll give you an example of how that plays out. Someone came to see me and asked me They told me they could take food from here up to the town hall and redistribute it. Yeah. I asked them, that's interesting, yeah, because we're not getting any information about where anybody is or anything like that, right? So I'd say, well, you know, if you could share that information with us, it'd be good, because we need to know who to distribute what we've got to as well. At the point of me asking that question, the conversation changed a little bit, and then the same person came back to me and told me they couldn't tell me. Now, I'm just saying that this is the protocol that's being used at the moment, you know, and it's not about the person who came to tell me that. It's about why they can't talk to me, or why they can't tell anybody what's going on in relation to how many people have survived and how many people have passed. Yeah, we've basically been doing this on our own with the love of the community, man, with the support of the community. Basically, you know, our perspective is this, yeah, the people sent to the people, for the people, yeah?
Perfect.
That's what happened.
Is there anything else that you want to get out of this moment in time that potentially can go into a separate file in terms of what's happening on the ground, numbers you're hearing, lists that you've corroborated, any information you have regarding missing lists that isn't in the mainstream media?
I would say that I don't really want to go into the depths on that, but I would say that from our estimation, from the people we've spoken to, and you know, through the last few days, and you know, kind of weighing up what's available and what's not being, because sometimes what you're not shown is just as revealing as what you're shown, right? So I'd say, you know, we're all aware, I think, in the community that we're dealing with a triple figure numbers. At the end of the day, we're just hoping it's not as high as it has been suggested by some people. You know, we want to be positive, but you know, we know it's going to be triple figures. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Malcolm.
All right.
Throw me that pen, please. And let me the same family.